There are approximately 2,200 oil and gas wells on the Norwegian continental shelf that fall under the authority of the Norwegian Ocean Industry Authority. Regardless of how global demand for petroleum products develops in the future, it is a fact that sooner or later, all wells must be permanently plugged and secured from a permanent perspective. To perform permanent plugging and abandonment, operations are carried out to isolate zones containing hydrocarbons with flow potential. This ensures that oil and gas do not leak into the sea or the atmosphere at any point in the foreseeable future. A temporarily abandoned well or a shut-in production well must be prepared for permanent plugging, for example by inserting a deep plug and a shallow plug before the well is re-entered. This can be done in several ways. However, it is standard practice to ensure that all required well barriers are in place before a blowout preventer, connected to a drilling riser, is installed on the well. To permanently plug an oil and gas well, 2 well barriers must be installed against all hydrocarbon-bearing zones, a primary barrier and a secondary barrier. In addition, an environmental plug is installed to isolate the well and prevent uncontrolled discharge of oil-based fluids. The primary well barrier serves as the main isolation against the reservoir. The production tubing is cut and retrieved from the well above the production packer and the previously placed deep plug. To verify the presence of cement on the outside of the casing, a cement bond log is performed. The well is then filled with a sufficient volume of cement in accordance with the NORSOK DO10 standard. The cement is then pumped in to cover the entire cross-section of the well at a depth where the surrounding formation has sufficient strength to withstand the original virgin reservoir pressure. Finally, a depth verification and pressure test of the cement plug is performed. The secondary well barrier serves as a backup to the primary barrier to prevent any undesired influx of oil and gas in the event that the primary well barrier fails. The most common method is to cut and retrieve the intermediate casing to prepare the well for full cross-sectional isolation. Adequate cement on the outside of the casing is then verified by means of a cement bond log, followed by the placement of a plug across the full well cross-section. The well is subsequently filled with a sufficient volume of cement in accordance with the NORSOK DO10 standard. The cement is pumped to cover the entire cross-section of the well, shown here, at a depth where the surrounding formation has sufficient strength to withstand the original virgin reservoir pressure. A depth verification and pressure test of the cement plug is then performed. The final barrier is referred to as the environmental plug, or the open hole-to-surface well barrier, and is normally set inside the surface casing. The environmental plug shall cover the entire well cross-section, but in this case, reliance is typically placed on the original cement job outside the surface casing and conductor pipe before the plug depth is verified and pressure tested. The conductor pipe and casing are then cut and removed 3 to 5 meters below the seabed. On the Norwegian continental shelf, the costs associated with future planned plugging and abandonment operations are significant. There is therefore a need for testing, development, and application of new technology that can contribute to more efficient operations through new methods, tools, and well barrier materials, while the industry continues to actively maintain a high level of safety. The Norwegian Ocean Industry Authority establishes the necessary regulatory requirements, while operators in the oil and gas industry ensure that the NORSOK DO10 standard is kept up to date in accordance with current best practice. The objective is to permanently plug and abandon wells in a manner that ensures well integrity from a lifetime perspective.